Today we are going to discuss the Crooke and Croke coat of arms, but before we get started, we wanted to let you know that we offer genealogy research service at our website. Please visit us at coadb.com. First coat of arms to discuss is blazoned Azure 3 Crooks or. Another source lists them as birds, and some sources show pots at the top in the chief. Now, this was borne by a Piers Crok in the 13th century, and also by Sir Robert Croc of Crookston. He was an Anglo-Norman knight, a landowner in Scotland, who in 1170 was granted the Levern Valley in Scotland by King David I. Here we see the remains of Crookston. Next is the coat of arms of Crooke of Alderford in County Norfolk, England. There was Henry Crooke, gentleman of Alderford, whose will was registered in 1572, and it is similar to the arms found on the tomb of William Crooke of Charleston, South Carolina, who died in 1723. Next is Crooke of Old Crook in Leyland in County Lancashire, England. There was Major Samuel Crooke Esq, born in 1670. He was High Sheriff of the county. He was killed in a sword fight, and he was a descendant of William de Crook of Whithull, alive in the year 1331, and he had son Richard de Crook, alive in the year 1387, who was a soldier and served in Scotland. Another was a crest for Crooke of Abram Hall in County Lancashire. It was acquired by Thomas Crooke through marriage to Abigail Gerard, who had son Richard Crooke, who died in 1727. Another coat of arms and crest for several different branches of the family, including Crooke of Chilton in County Buckinghamshire, of whom Sir John Croke, Speaker of the House of Commons, was a member. He was born in 1533, and the title became extinct on... Okay, and then there was also... It was also borne by Sir Alexander Croke, a judge and colonial administrator who was son of Alexander Croke and grandson of Reverend Alexander Croke, who was rector of Hartwell. And it was also borne by the Crokes of Chequers in County Buckinghamshire, Sir Robert Croc, and his father, Sir Henry Crooke, and his father, Sir John Croke, all members of this family. It was also the Crokes of Studley in County Oxfordshire. There was Richard Croke, son of Alexander, son of William. It was also borne by the Crookes of Waterstock in County Oxfordshire. Of this branch of the family was Sir George Croke, died in 1642, a judge who had nephew Henry Crooke, who had son Sir George Crook. And also by the Crookes of Marston in County Oxfordshire. One member of this branch was Sir Richard Croke, Sergeant at Law, son of Unton Croke, who died in 1670, who was a member of Parliament and the fourth son of Sir John Croke. And here we see Chequers House, which was mentioned on the previous slide, and Studley Priory. Similar coat of arms with a crest as a celestial and terrestrial globe proper. Wasn't able to ascertain who this crest was granted to, but it was likely one of the individuals discussed on the previous slide. Another gules manifest between three martlets Argent, a crescent of the field. Here we have a coat of arms and crest for Crooks of Scotland. Same case on the next slide, just a different crest. And wasn't able to ascertain who it belonged to, but there was one possibility here. Major Alexander Colt, who was later Crooks, born 1638. He had sons James of Monkland and Alexander. Now Alexander had a son James, who died unmarried and was succeeded in the lands of Garturk by his sister Elizabeth Crooks, who had married into the Colt family. There was also a John Crooke Esq, alive in the year 1635, a merchant and burgess of Irving. And an American here, Ramsay Crooks, born 1786, a fur trader, who was described as a Black Hawk by the Black Hawk Indian chief as the best pale-faced friend the red man ever had. He descended from Scotland. Another somewhat similar coat of arms, and I have written down here it was likely belonged to the ancestors of one Edward Crooke Esq, who had daughter Elizabeth Helford Crooke, who married into the Seal family in 1861 in Surrey, England. This one has a crest and elephant quarterly or inverts, or another source states gules. Next we have Crooke of Rington in County Somerset. Samuel Crooke, born 1575, was a cleric of the Church of England, a preacher, and a staunch parliamentarian during the English Civil War. He was the second son of Thomas Crooke, a clergyman, who was the father of Helkia Crooke, physician to King James I, and Sir Thomas Crooke, the first baronet of Baltimore, who was a lawyer who sat in the House of Commons and died in 1630. Coat of arms also associated with Croke of London, John Croke, a skinner and alderman of London in the year 1477. Here we have a similar coat of arms. I wasn't able to find the armiger on. Same situation with the next slide. This one is interesting. It has 3 eagles displayed or on the fess. And another similar one. This was found in a quartered coat of arms of the Williamson family of Tusmore in County Oxfordshire, along with the Selkeld family. And I believe it had something to do with the ancestors of Anthony Croker, who had daughter Maria, who married Nicholas Williamson. Azure, a bend or between 6 fleur-de-lis argents for Crooke or Croke. Wasn't able to find the armiger on this. This one is interesting for Crooke of San Lucar de Barrameda in Cadiz, Spain. Now, the source that this was obtained from noted that this individual or family arrived from Ireland and proved their nobility in the order of Carlos III. Not sure about that. What I was able to find was this family came from Yorkshire. There was John Crooke, born 1733. He was born in Pontefract, Yorkshire in England and died in Spain. He was the son of John Crooke, who was the son of Thomas Crooke. Another for Crooke or Crooks of Winchester in County Hampshire. It was granted sometime between the year 1585 and 1633. Wasn't quite able to find who it was, but I do have one possibility. There's a note here. There was a Mr. Crooke of Winchester who had son John Croke of London, born 1508, who was a member of Parliament for Hendon. Croke of Ireland, sable a hand proper in a mount or holding a fleur-de-lis of the same. And I have a note here that says the family traces its ancestry to Kilkenny, Ireland in the 14th century. And based on some of my findings, I believe this is the arms of the ancestors of Charles Croke of Fettard in County Tipperary, Ireland, who was alive in the year 1658. I believe this one is John Croke of Box in County Wiltshire, who had daughter Philippa, who married into the Floyer family in the 15th century. And lastly, we have Fuseli Orr and Gules on a Chief Azure for Crooke of County Worcestershire. And this was found in a heraldic manuscript dated to the year 1570. And if you enjoyed this video, please visit us at coadb.com, where we offer genealogy research service. Link in the description. Thank you very much.